centro del ser. Quiero puedas ver que salimos del suelo y abrimos el mirar al fuego en nuestra mano. Habló en lenguas, el tambor fue el sol. Bailamos en aliento, con silencio en el pulmón, y el tiempo se borró. Somos el fuego, somos la mano, creamos el sueño, hicimos el plano, nacidos del cielo, paridos del llano. Somos el fuego, somos la mano. Moldeamos el metal y aprendimos a mandar. Nombramos viento y sol, nos cubrimos de poder y pedimos. No cambió, seguía en la piel y el polvo susurró, recuerda tu valor. Somos el fuego, somos la mano, creamos el sueño, hicimos el plano, nacidos del cielo, paridos del llano. Somos el fuego, somos la mano. Somos el fuego, somos la mano. Somos el fuego, somos la mano. Somos el fuego, somos la mano.
Good morning. Thought I'd try something a little different this morning's video. Instead of doing a typical talking head where I point the camera at my ugly mug, I thought, would people rather look at my ugly mug, or I live in Alaska, would they rather look at Alaska? So, just going to kind of journal or visit with you a little as I'm on my way to a photography job in Big Lake. There's an eagle flying. I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but about 1 o'clock there's an eagle soaring around right there. Anyway, I'm headed right now from Palmer, where we live, to Big Lake. Now that eagle's at about 2 o'clock right there. We're headed right now through an area called the Palmer Hay Flats. Oh, there's another eagle at about 11 o'clock. Sorry, that was a raven. That was a raven, my mistake. Got to cross the Matanuska River right now. Off to your right and to the left, of course, the Matanuska River. Anyway, just tooling along. Start back up here in a minute. Oh, here. Okay, here's a little bit better view of the Palmer Hay Flats. I decided to go ahead and turn the camera back on because this is one of the better spots at times to spot moose. I'm looking around, I don't see any at this point. A little bit about myself and my channel. I am not native to Alaska. My wife and I moved here from the Midwest about 10 years ago. My wife is a superhero and works with the blind and visually impaired. and I am a professional photographer here in Alaska. It's a funny story how we ended up here. One of my closest friends married a gal from up here. I've known this guy for 20 plus years, although he's much younger than me. He married a gal from up here and moved up here. And I hadn't seen him in probably a year. This is back when we lived in Missouri. He gives me a call, wants me to fly up and see him, or he flies me up to see him. I get up here and do the typical tourist stuff. He was great. He took me on guided fishing trips. We went camping. We did all the prototypical stuff that you do as an Alaskan in the summertime. It was awesome. I went home, and my wife asked me what it was like. I told her that it was really kind of indescribable, and it is. It's strange to sound being a photographer, but pictures really can't do it justice. It is just, it's so unique. Anyway, she and I get talking more about it, and I tell her of a conversation that I had with this friend when we were driving on our way to one of our adventures. What came up in the conversation at the time, my wife was a teacher in Missouri, was how desperately Alaska needed teachers, and particularly teachers with my wife's skill set. He said, that kind of teacher can make X amount up here. And I told her that, and she said, well, he had to be exaggerating. So I checked it out. He was off a little bit. He was low a little bit on what teachers, particularly teachers with certain skill sets, can earn here in Alaska. Of course, the cost of living's higher, probably about 30% higher. But we just made the decision to head up this direction. My wife moved up here sight unseen. She'd never been here, never seen it. And we moved up. She went to work for a nonprofit organization that provides experts like her to students in need in rural Alaska. I actually started here as a realtor. I had been a realtor for, about 12 years when we moved here. And I had my license when we got here, and it didn't take me long to figure out that while Alaska is a huge state, it is a very small community. Everybody that lives here has 5 or 6 friends that are realtors. So I just could not really get my real estate career going. I started doing real estate photography part-time to earn enough money to pay my real estate dues to stay in real estate. But I got so busy that ultimately, within a very short period, real estate photography became my full-time gig. And I, of course, like most photographers, added other genres of photography that I enjoyed more. They just weren't as consistent as real estate photography. But I practice several different genres of photography. I have a fine art website, toddblackphotography.com, where you can view some of my work. I do landscapes, wildlife, aerial photography, a little bit of portraiture, and really, I like all of those more than I like real estate photography. But again, real estate photography is a very consistent profession. And that has been what I've been doing for the last 8 or 9 years now. We've lived here 10 years. We absolutely love it here. We have answered all sorts of questions about what is it like to live in Alaska. If you happen to watch this and you want to drop a question down in the comments, I'm glad to get back with you and give you an answer to the best of my ability. I would never represent myself as an Alaskan expert. You can't be an expert just living here 10 years, but I have learned a lot of things. So I'm going to continue on my trip this morning and get back with you here in a few minutes. Okay, finished my real estate shoot in Big Lake. I'm headed back towards Wasilla right now. Some interesting facts about living in Alaska and about Alaska in general. Some are pretty well known, some not so well known, particularly if you're not an Alaskan. One of the more well-known ones is, geographically speaking, Alaska is so huge that the state of Texas would fit in it 3 times. Geographically speaking, the state of Alaska is about a third of the size of the lower 48. The state of Alaska also leads the country in a couple of interesting factoids. Number 1, they lead the country in per capita pickup truck ownership. Per capita, there are more pickup trucks owned in Alaska than any other state in the country. The other thing that they are leading the nation in per capita is private pilot licenses. Alaska has more private pilots per capita than any other state in the country. Just another little interesting tidbit. Regarding the population of Alaska, I get asked fairly often, what is the population? It is around 700,000, give or take, which is strange for a state that geographically is a third the size of the lower 48, but around 700,000. And what's even more strange than that is probably at least 80, maybe as much as 90% of that population resides in a 50-mile circle. Anchorage, Chugiak, Eagle River, Wasilla, and Palmer. Probably 80 to 90% of the population of the entire state resides there. Another interesting thing about Anchorage, while it is the largest city, about 300,000 plus, it is not the state capital. I think that that's kind of a common misnomer. It's the state capital. The state capital is actually Juneau, and I believe their population may be less than 20,000. Somebody out there can Google me on that, but it's not very many, and it is a state capital, by the way, that is not reachable by road, only by air and water. Okay, heading out of Wasilla towards Palmer for my last photography job of the day. Is in Palmer. It's actually sunny. Hard to believe. It has been just mostly cloudy, windy, rainy for about 3 weeks, but we've got a little sun out. Beautiful. As a photographer, the sun brings colors to life. So it's nice to have it out. I get asked fairly often by friends, family, what it's like living here. Do my wife and I envision retiring here? We love it here. It's unique. No doubt about that. You're seeing some of the uniqueness right here in front of us. Traffic. You wouldn't think a gigantic state that only has 700,000 people in it would have traffic that's as bad as it is here. The caveat to that is probably 400,000 to 500,000 of the population live in that 50-mile bowl I was talking about, and there really are only two primary highways. I don't believe when they created the infrastructure for Alaska, those people could have had no idea that this many people would live here permanently. Anyway, there's two primary highways. I'm on the Parks Highway now, which basically goes east and west. And the Glen Highway, north and south, basically just heads north out of Anchorage. Because if you head south out of Anchorage, you end up in the ocean. So not a lot of infrastructure for the population here. Seeing the sun, I have other people that ask me, so do you not get any darkness there? Or the opposite, do you not get any light there? Well, that is the case during certain seasons. When the further north you get, above the Arctic Circle, certainly. And the Arctic Circle, I know when we moved here, I thought the Arctic Circle just meant right up there by the Arctic Ocean, but actually if you look at a map, the Arctic Circle is about a third of the way down from the northernmost point of Alaska, a third of the way down the state. So it's a bigger area than one might have thought. And in those areas, there will go several months with no light or no dark. That's not so much the case in this part of Alaska. During the summer, we'll have 19 or 20 hours a day of sunlight, and the reverse in the winter. Really, in the winter, the sun never really gets up over the horizon very much. We don't get just a lot of direct sunlight in the winter, but we do get sunlight. But for instance, right now, it's just May. It's 52 degrees out right now. And it's May, heading into mid-May. And if you were to go fishing right now at 11 o'clock at night, you can see to tie your hook on your line. It's not bright light out, but it is definitely not dark. Just some interesting things that you have to get used to when you live here. I remember when we first moved here, we lived in a small apartment, and we put a black sheet, had a couple of windows in the apartment, we put in our bedroom, we put a black sheet over it. That was not good enough, so I thumbtacked about every 2 inches along the sheet. I thumbtacked it to the wall. I just could not sleep with any light coming through. Now we just sleep in the middle of the summer with the windows open, blinds open. So, it's just whatever you get used to. Actually, for me and for some that move up here, the dark is more of an adjustment than the light. The dark in the winter You know, 4 o'clock, it's dark out. 5 o'clock, it gets to be 6 p.m., you feel worn out because you think it's midnight. That takes a little bit of adjustment as well. But for us anyway, it's all worth it. There's no perfect place to live where there are no downsides, but the upsides here in Alaska for my wife and I far surpass the downsides. Thought I would turn the camera back on here. I'm on the Glen Highway heading into Palmer, just outside of Palmer right now. I kind of jokingly refer to this area through here as Eagle Alley. The trees you see on the right and left, a lot of the time during the year, it's not unusual to see 8 or 10 eagles sitting up in these tree limbs. Occasionally you'll see 2 or 3 in the same tree limb. It's just pretty cool. Honestly, strangely enough, it seems to happen more in the winter time than it does in the summer. But I thought I'd flip the camera on just in case. Strangely, kind of a common sighting mistake here, at least by me, is mistaking ravens for eagles. A lot of time I don't know until I can see that white tail or white head. There's an eagle right there, about 11 o'clock high. The ravens here, we don't call them, they're not crows. The ravens here are the size of chickens or eagles. I mean, they are huge and plentiful. There are a lot of them. It's too bad I do some bird photography. I have never had any desire to shoot ravens. Too bad, because there's plenty of subjects around if you like to shoot ravens. On the right is the Alaska State Fairgrounds here in Palmer. State fairs, I'm sure, are big in every state, pretty much every state, I'm sure. It is huge here in Alaska, just huge. Every day, there are just a ton of people there every day. It's a big, big event. Okay, coming up on the major intersection here in Palmer, America. Strangely enough, on the left, I don't know if the camera's picking it up or not. In a small town like this, it's pretty amazing. We not only have one big major grocery chain here, we have 2 right across the street from each other. Fred Meyer, which you can probably see on the left side of the screen, that is a Kroger brand store. And right across the street, you cannot see on the camera, is Cars, which is a Safeway brand store. 2 big ones right across the street from each other in a little old town like this. I will say, I don't really ever tire of this drive home from work or errands here on the Old Glen Highway. Now, it's not quite as fun wintertime. Not quite as fun when there's packed snow and ice on the road, but what a beautiful drive, particularly when we've actually got a little sun out today. Some breaking in the cloud cover. Pull over up here in just a few hundred yards, pick up our mail. Another unique thing living here, or unique to us, we hadn't experienced before. You very rarely see single mailboxes. Most mailboxes you see here are community mailboxes like these. Okay, I sincerely hope you've enjoyed this video, enjoyed riding around with me today, not having to look at my face, but just getting to look at a little Alaska landscape. If you did like it, I'd appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe below. I do a horrible job of asking for likes and subscribes. but I would appreciate it, and it would help the channel out a lot if you would consider doing so.